Well, speaking about things that have been executed well, what about something not executed so well? Post-Civil War Marvel Universe being hinted at?
I will say just one thing on the previous topic before we move on. For people that want to get into something new,
yes,
for great characters that are awesome, and I'm hoping it's written well, hope it's up to the previous Wildstorm iterations, Midnighter and Apollo are getting a new comic series, the mini-series, hopefully maybe it'll become ongoing if it's successful enough. And Midnighter and Apollo are...
essentially Batman and Superman
if they were
couple.
gay.
Yeah.
But that's not the crux of their characters.
Nope.
They're just awesome. And, I mean, Midnighter literally murdered someone with a jackhammer. That's kind of awesome. So they are getting a new book, and they are, generally speaking, awesome characters, and they're in a relationship together.
Right.
I have a quick question. Now,
yes.
When you mention something like that, now this is just because some listeners might have read something like, darker, like Wanted or The Boys or something like that, where they do have LGBT characters, but they're not exactly portrayed. And everything's always, like, really, like, cynical.
Yeah, or
it's
absurdist.
It's more like, here, you're going to read this issue of Batman and Superman, except these two characters, happen to be a gay couple or happen to be gay in their own individual couples or whatever the series is about. I'm not familiar with it. It's just like every other comic book, except it stars two.
Yeah, this isn't Miller's completely awful humor of it's Batman and Robin, but they're gay because that's like funny because back in the day it's like they're gay, right? It's like no, what are you projecting here or whatever? Yeah. With Midnighter and Apollo, they're just two superheroes that happen to be gay, and in the context of the Authority, the team they're on, Apollo is a guy that can fly and is super strong. He's basically Superman. Midnighter is a guy that wears all black and is like a vigilante, so he's basically like Batman. But neither of them, beyond the completely superficial, they're like Batman and Superman. They're nothing like Batman and Superman. But yes, you were saying, Devin, things not looking great. Civil War 2 alone is terrible so far.
As this podcast is discussed at length, Civil War 2 is a disaster.
Yeah, it's so bad.
And
written by
and Devin feels like
Brian Michael Bendis.
Devin feels like not only is it a disaster, it's something that we all could have seen the dumpster fire coming a mile away.
Yes.
It was worse than we feared. The dumpster is on fire. But now we have quote unquote divided we stand. I mean, they've been issuing these teasers showing these shattered characters. Or these
Isn't this
images.
just Resistance versus Registration
well,
again?
That is certainly what it seems like, although we still don't know the lines of division, but we're seeing what seems to be established characters with shattered images in their, I guess, reflection or what have you, with less established characters, newer characters, lower level characters.
Yeah, lower tier
is again
characters.
what it seems to be, but they've not been specific about these divisions. Does it seem like it's just
it's very unclear message, whatever they're trying to get across.
Yeah. But on one side, we have Solo, Fool Killer. I love Fool Killer.
I love Fool Killer.
Jessica Jones, Maria Hill, Captain Marvel, Elektra, the Odinson, Victor Von Doom, Slapstick, Captain America, Black Panther, Gamora, and Cable.
And Victor Von Doom holding an Iron Man
Holding the
helmet.
Iron Man mask, so what that's about, I'm not sure.
And if you just take that lineup, there is literally nothing in common with any of those characters.
Doesn't seem like it because, again, you look at it and you say, well, some of these characters are lesser known, but then some of them are Victor Von Doom, Captain Marvel,
right,
Captain America.
Super powerful.
Yeah, super well known.
Yeah. And then on the other side, the flip images, you see Gwenpool, Mosaic, Squirrel Girl, Miss America Chavez, Wasp, Prowler,
the C team,
Lunel,
not even the B,
Lafayette,
the C team.
Riri Williams, Hawkeye, Hulk, Spider-Man, Ms. Marvel, and Doctor Strange. And you see these characters, and it seems as though... Now, John, do you mind if I read the quote from Axel Alonso?
Go on.
All right, Axel Alonso, a lot of people were talking about the diversity in these images and that there does seem to be a concerted effort to portray young characters and minority characters and things of that nature. So Axel Alonso says that we're all about creating books that connect with readers of all types. This has been a natural and organic process, I guess emphasis mine, organic process for us. And there's been an evolution on it for us over the last few years. Looking at the teaser now, I'm noticing for the first time that you've got 5 Caucasian characters in the mix, 5 African-American characters, a Korean-American Hulk. It's more diverse than I ever would have imagined. I think it's a good thing. First, should we just call BS on that? He says he's noticing for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, this is not an effort. This is definitely a concerted effort.
I didn't even notice this.
I had no idea.
But let me tell you.
Yeah.
Right, let me tell you how great this is, though.
This is exactly why it's not organic, as long as you keep doing stuff where you point all this stuff out and virtue signal and pat yourselves on the back. That's literally that's not organic.
This is you've turned around and alley-ooped a basketball.
Yes.
And it's gone in. Be cool, walk away.
Right.
And everyone will stand in awe. If you point it out, it kind of ruins it.
Absolutely. I also will point out the thing I said wrong. 5 African-American characters. Black Panther is not African-American.
Right, exactly.
So no, you're already wrong there. And of course,
he's African. He's been in America before.
And of course, the argument I know is going to be, well, you're splitting hairs. Okay, so what you're saying is, if 2 people are black, culturally they're identical.
True.
Right? Isn't that what the argument is saying? It's like if I said, oh, we have 3 Chinese American characters, and one of them is Korean and Korean American, and one of them is Japanese and does not live or reside in America at all. That's equally as ignorant of a statement, right? Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff where it's funny because they talk about this organic process and then say something like that in the same exact breath.
Clearly, it's not organic.
Right.
No. And which Spider-Man is it? Is it
Miles Morales?
Okay.
Yes. And it is one of those things, like, I don't know, because I don't even understand what this divide is over, because
none of us do.
None of this is clear. And this really smacks of just post-Civil War 1, to the point where you have a villain with Iron Man tech. Yeah, we already went through this with Norman Osborn.
And isn't it interesting that this also coincides with the next Marvel Now initiative?
Yep.
So this is going to last presumably for another season. It seems like Marvel, without necessarily admitting it publicly, has embraced the seasonal model of comics that a lot of people speculated comics would go to, where every year is like a different season and they're not necessarily connected.
Which is unworkably awful with how they do their books.
It seems difficult. It seems challenging, but a lot of people thought this is where you would go, where you would denote the end of a season and the beginning of another one as a jumping on and jumping off point and stuff like that. People speculated a couple years back that this is where things might be going, and Marvel certainly seems to be embracing it without saying it, because this seems very different than what we were reading just a year ago.
Yeah.
Seems very different, all these guys together.
Yeah.
And I don't know, again, how I like that, because it also tends to throw continuity somewhat out the window.
And you got to force this situation from the stories.
Because the viewers, the readers need to see something new as the start of a new season. Yeah. So some stuff carries over, but it's new.
This is almost like to come back to wrestling, but it's like when WrestleMania hits, a true new storyline kicks up.
Used to be. Now, the last couple of years,
it's more flowing. It's more like a comic book.
Yes, it's more. And whereas comic books are getting more like yes, they flipped the script on them. And comic books now are getting more like wrestling used to be, which is like, there's a definitive endpoint. WrestleMania was the culmination of the storylines.
Yeah, it's the blow-off.
And then it's also sort of the genesis for what's next. And I think you're seeing that. But as John said, it seems forced, especially because it seems like you're setting it up to where every fall you're starting over. But not everything fits in a 12-month story cycle.
Mm-mm. Well, here's my problem. It's not even a 12-month story cycle, because these seasons are shorter than the things that get them there, because you have these events that take 6 months, but they have like two months of build up.
Right.
So that's 8 months. So you basically have 4 to 5 months maybe of actual content with a new quote unquote status quo. And then it's all getting shaken up again by a new stupid event.
So is this coming down to, are they going to come out with more comic books for one series in a month? Or are they still going to do the monthly cycle thing? And do you think this is directly because they feel that readers, them being millennials and all that, don't have the attention span of other people?
Let's be honest, it's barely millennials reading this stuff anyways, because they haven't capitalized on the popularity of these characters, which we'll go into not capitalizing in the very next thing we're going to talk about, RE Captain America.
America.
Fuck yes, we need to talk about Captain America. It is Captain America Day, being July 4th. But a perfect example is how this is not organic. Throwing out these characters and saying, look how diverse we are, it fucking doesn't matter, because you're not capitalizing on characters' popularity. You're creating characters where the diversity of that character seems to be the focus of that character, and I think people feel that. And you're not exposing them in other media either, really. Because, like, you have all these things, okay, how prominent is Black Panther going to be going forward? I would argue probably not very.
Well, and I'll tell you, first 2 issues of his new title, I enjoyed. The 3rd issue is now where I'm at the point where I was like, oh boy, not only has this book been late coming out, but now I'm starting to question whether or not there is something that's some long, interesting, rich story that's going to be told, or are we just going to lose this book 8 issues in? They're just going to change it, and it seems like that's entirely possible, especially because you've got 3 issues out now. Marvel now again starts in the fall. Is that going to start over?
New number 1 for Black Panther.
New number 1, and well, we're not going to get into new number 1s, but let's get into a number 2 issue.
Yes,
Captain America talking about.
Yes, we
the whole Hydra situation. We sort of now know what's behind it. It's what a lot of people speculated.
Yes,
was behind
the issue has come out fully. I've read it.
All right. So, what were your thoughts?
It's actually not a bad issue. Okay, so for people that don't know, including Mike and Walter, I'm
looking at him like, what the fuck is going on?
The new issue of Captain America Steve Rogers came out, and it's basically entirely a flashback issue that shows the Cosmic Cube Kobik. Kobik. Yeah. Who's a little girl, and she wakes up, and basically her first thing to do is to go to Red Skull. Because Red Skull had a Cosmic Cube, and this is the same Cosmic Cube, so she remembers him holding her when she was a baby, because Cosmic Cubes become cosmic entities. So their cube form is basically their egg. So she remembers being held by Red Skull, so she's like imprinted on Red Skull like a baby bird. So she goes to Red Skull. Red Skull, being a pretty smart dude, immediately recognizes the situation and starts immediately taking advantage of it. And, like, is reading her bedtime stories about how great Hydra is and stuff, and is, like, being this weird sitcom-style dad to this basically all-powerful little girl, but he's feeding her all this information that's obviously super evil because it's the Red Skull.
Right.
And that's how it was part of Red Skull's plan all along to make Captain America young again, because he was old. And in doing so, rewrite his past so he's a Hydra agent, or he believes he is. Couple problems with this. I don't have a problem with the story, as I already outlined. This is where I thought it was going to go.
This was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Devin was very surprised that they said the reveal is not a reaction to the fans' reaction. Devin has a hard time believing that they wouldn't have held off a little bit longer. It's literally just the next issue.
It is weird. I firmly believe that this was the second issue. I do believe that, but this just shows how bungled their promotion of the first issue was and the situation surrounding the first issue.
Although doesn't this just speak to Marvel's recent last couple of years attempt to monopolize headlines with sensational stuff?
Yes.
Captain America's black, Captain America's Hydra,
Thor's a woman,
and things of that nature. And certainly you can sit around and debate the merits of those stories and those characters all you want. But the bottom line is, those were clearly things done just to grab headlines, to get a minor sales bump, to split the internet in half, which they love to create these moments, with really no good, clear reason why, and no way out.
Yeah, it's just the whole any publicity is good publicity theory. But I really don't think that's the case. You've actively not only people aren't even necessarily upset about the idea, People are upset about Marvel's handling of this and saying, "Oh, this isn't mind control. It's fucking mind control. This is just mind control."
As we found out in issue 2.
Yeah, and now they're playing their hand like, "Oh no, he believes this, so it's not mind control. It's reality warping."
He believes it where? Where does he believe it? In his mind?
Yeah, which you control.
Yeah, right. All right, gotcha.
And it's one of those things like, you start out by insulting everyone, including casual viewers' intelligence, by saying, "No, this is super duper real, not mind control, not an imposter, not a clone." Okay. But then in your very next breath, you go, "See, what it really is a cosmic cube that you as a casual person couldn't possibly recognize or know about or be expected to follow. So we just insulted your intelligence by saying, 'No, you'll believe what I'm saying,' and then pulled this snake oil salesman letter of the law contract negotiation bullshit."
Right.
Where it's not technically mind control because of this thing you can possibly know about, where it's still mind control anyways to anyone that gives it a half second of thought. That's the kind of stuff that makes people go, "Fuck comic books. This is so stupid."
Well, can I then talk about the next Marvel sensationalist bit?
The one thing I do want to say, I want to be super geeky for a second with
Yes.
this whole... The story, as presented, actually has a major continuity issue that I haven't seen really mentioned much. The cosmic cube
Right.
that Red Skull used
Yes.
could be Kobik, but that can't be the Red Skull. The Red Skull we currently have in comics is a clone from World War II who has not been awake since World War II. He is functionally a different person than the Red Skull that used the cosmic cube to fight Captain America. They are two separate people.
You are correct about that.
And they're two separate people. Like Red Skull's been cloned before, but his mind was transferred to the body. This is functionally a different Red Skull.
Different, yes.
And that was made clear in Remender's Uncanny Avengers, where this Red Skull came out.
Yep, you were right.
So that whole point, actually, in your clever attempts at writing Marvel to do this end-round Hail Hydra Captain America, you fucked up. Because you didn't do your research, and this isn't
a new story. This is a new story. This isn't
right.
like decades ago. You had to crawl through the long boxes at Marvel headquarters to figure out. Oh my God,
This was literally the last appearance of this Red Skull.
Yes.
Basically invalidates the hook you're going with for the story.
Agreed.
So I just wanted to get super geeky and point that out because I love pointing out when Marvel done fuck.